Hello everybody and welcome to Jessica's Two-Car Garage, episode 7. And yeah, it's been a while since I've been recording or doing anything, but I do have some good news. A lot of that should change. Kind of get myself together. I've had a past 2 weeks have been kind of rough for us. So that's moved on and I'll be getting some stuff together. A good example of that is what I'll be working on today, which is actually a couple of small things, nothing really that big, but they all need to sort of get done at some point, and some of them are fun to do, so we'll get on with it. Alright, so 3 years ago, I was running my SMT-10, and, well, when you take the screw out, it tends to bend when you run it into it. And these are just plastic. This is just regular old plastic and it bent like that. So I decided, oh the heck, I'll go find some nice aluminum stuff. Okay, maybe not so nice. It was kind of the cheapest stuff on Amazon. Yeah. Now, I don't expect professional quality from the cheapest stuff, but I'd like to be able to put it on Plum Crazy and not have it be, too terribly bad. But yeah, that's an awful lot of slop, particularly for a 10th scale truck. So that's not gonna work so great. Yet quite a bit of side to side and ample amounts of front to back because the link is moving in and out. So I'll be going and diving into my box of RC tricks tonight and seeing what I can do about fixing that mess. Because I really do want to drive it. It's been 3 years and it's time. I'm going to work on getting another body for it. Not that I have problems with the J-Concepts body I've got, but I found a body that's the same as my El Camino. And wouldn't that be cool, right? But as you can see, it's not as much stuff. Hey Vash, how you doing? Oh, pussycat. Shop kitty. 1 or 2. So I'm going to figure out how, like I said, to get the cheesy aluminum parts from Amazon to fit at least as well as the stock ones. Once I do that, I'll paint them all up to match, because I really don't like this black type thing. I mean, you can't see the suspension inside or tell the difference between the suspension parts and the drive shaft. Like, well, see on the back, I can tell the difference. So if I'm running the thing, I can tell what went wrong. And there's going to be some work to do because I tried to use balloons to keep the dirt out of the CVs, and well, 3 years later, they're kind of trash. But it's all fixable. In case you're wondering, see if I can change it so you okay. So there's a Sidewinder 3 in here. It's a little old, and I've got it hooked to its castle motor there. I couldn't really tell you what it is. Okay, so it says it's a 46 kV. Be honest, the truck and just about everything you see was a return when I worked at Hobbytown. So I worked there, somebody returned it because it kept blowing the speed controls out, and I picked it up. Still paid $300 for it without a speed control in it, and with a receiver I couldn't use and no controller. So yeah, I think I kind of overpaid for that. You might agree with me, but it was fine, because why not? I've always wanted a solid axle truck, and my Stampede, though I've had it for almost 30 years now, just isn't the same as this. So I threw it together. By that I mean I completely tore the thing apart, as you can tell, because it came as a Max D truck, so it was all black. Tore the thing completely apart, painted it, went through all the axles, changed a bunch of stuff in there, just kinda got it to look the way I want it to. And it got the detail kit, so I got the blower and headers and put them on. Yes, the headers are upside down because, you know, the real trucks are too. So I made sure to do that. If you hear wrestling in the background, yeah, that seems to be Shop Cat wherever he went. I don't know where he went. Guess he's up behind the boxes. But anyway, getting back to this right here. Tonight I'll be going through and figuring all that out, because that's just, you know, that's ridiculousness right there. It's not like I expected anything from cheap parts, but still, that's just nuts. Bye, Shopcat. Okay. Next thing I'm going to be doing tonight, it'll be much later, is you can tell the lighting is atrocious in here, as I've only got one cutesy little light behind a garage door mechanism there. So this light we got from a thrift shop. There's no plug on it. We used to have a fan. The fan gave up, so I cut the plug off of that. So you can pretty much guess what's coming next there. That's all house stuff to do. On the big car end of things, I have this going on. For you see, when you mount your temperature gauge in your pickup truck and you get it all set up, and then you remember, yeah, this is a manual gauge, so I can't just unplug it from the back and put it into the new holder. You're gonna end up doing some cutting and such. So I've got it all marked off so that I can cut it and then slide it together. That way I can have the temperature sender go through here, the little wire cord thermal probe thing. Yeah, and you'll love the redneck engineering I did to put that together. So with that, I will take a break and cut this sucker up, and then we'll go out to the truck and install that. So we'll be back. Okay, so it's been probably about hour and a half. It's getting a little darker out there. I put the shop cat away so that way he doesn't get out the door. Not that he would, he's kind of a big chicken. Anyway, I got this all cut up so that I can fix what you're gonna see is the biggest bonehead move you could think of. because who does that? Get my screws and such. I got all my stuff together. But before we go out and deal with the gauge in Ford, I wanted to show you what halfway decent soldering welds look like. Focus. Cameras seem to not like, you know, below 50 something degrees, and it's like, I think 47 around here right now. Anyway. Halfway decent. You want to make sure the solder runs as much over it as you can. Yeah, it's not gonna focus, so you just have to take my word for it. But I got those together, and we'll be able to see if this light works. So I'll put you down for a second because it takes 2 hands to get the seat shrink on. Alright, so as you can see, heat shrink is slid down, and you always want to keep some right here and some right there, so probably about twice as much length of heat shrink as you have soldering weld. So that's how that works out. Now if I can quit fumbling my poor lighter to death. We'll take that, and you can see it pulling up against. So you never really want to burn them. Keep that in mind. Always let this stuff kind of cool down and keep everything together. We have another piece of heat shrink. Again, one-handed is a bit of a pain in the neck here. But you always want to kind of heat shrink everything together. Sure, you could use electrical tape, but it only sticks so long. And by the way, I still have no idea whether this light works or not, but I'm not the type who wants to plug everything in and then catch everything on fire, so I'll just heat shrink all this stuff up first. Don't set yourself on fire. So, flip that over because I don't like kind of heat shrink on one side here. I want to make sure to get both sides done right. So that should work. Okay. I guess we should see if this works, right? As far as I know, there's no light switch or no switch on and off switch or whatever for this. So there is a bulb inside. So it should just kick right over as soon as I get it plugged in here. But let's find out. Ugh, and you look at that. And God said that there be light. So, this light here, unplug that now, is going to get hung on top of that railing right there. There's some holes in the back of this thing. But he's already drilled some extra holes on top of the original factory ones. And I just have to get some chain and a hook. Maybe that'll solve this hole. Can't see because there's no light around here. The only reason you can't see what I'm doing here is, watch your eyes, that big guy, and homemade shop light flickery Fred, I guess. Give it a name. Anyway, used to be a nice drop light from Harbor Freight. Yeah, well, guess it got dropped one too many times because it didn't really want to work after that. But took it apart, put it in the original tube, soldered up the connectors and everything. Yeah, I'll get around to finishing that, or maybe just replace it with what I had made there. Nice little milk caps at the end. Hey, it works, right? So, now that we know that light works, when you get if you're going to be doing a lot of soldering, get a real soldering iron. So, there's the real soldering iron. So, now, I'll take my gauge and basket of tools, and we'll go outside to the truck and fix my other redneck problem, right? Alright. On a quick side note, if you think California doesn't have any critters, well, we do. I don't know if you can see him. Yeah, there. Screwy squirrel. He had a friend, moved over to another tree. That tree. They were just playing around on the ground and such earlier. We do actually have some critters here in Cali, at least in Central California. There's a couple of screwy squirrels. You see them moving around now. Got my steady cam on, so won't let me focus on them. Kind of sad. Anyway, let's get back to the truck. Okay, so I went and got a light so you guys can see this fine piece of redneck engineering. Yep. So, that's the original gauge mount. These are in fact twist ties. And, that's pretty much all that's holding it up is this little twist tie thing, because it's what I had to do when I didn't have the time to put it together right. Which is why we now have a new gauge mount. Problem is though, this is a manual gauge. Yeah, I didn't get the light hooked up either. I'll get that out of the way. But this is a manual gauge, so can't unplug that. Which means if you're putting it in the new gauge set, well, you're gonna have to figure out what to do. So let's start by getting this stuff all undone. Alright. Okay, so here's our gauge holder we're gonna be using. But I thought you guys might want to see this fine example of mounting system before I took it apart. And yeah, I was just trying to keep the thing in place because we were going to take a trip. That didn't happen, so it's fine. Yeah. So it's gonna require more than one hand to get this apart from the looks of it, so we'll come back to that in a second, alright? Alright. Okay, so got that old bracket off. It's right there. Got my thumb screws and stuff ready. Now, as you can see, we have the slit stuck in there. So this way, voila, you can just slip it right over, and then that takes care of that. I'll make sure when you put this back on that you put that up top so you can get your light in at some point. Make sure to put your little washers back on there so it doesn't come off. And then you can put your clips or your nuts back on here. And I'll be doing the light later, because this truck, well, it's going to be a lot of wiring I'm going to have to address, because I don't even know where that goes, and it's just kind of sitting there bare and exposed. And, well, whoever was in here doing wiring before just loved to use twist ties and one of them there speed nut things you see at the house. I don't know why, but some people just don't know how to wire. So I'll use both my hands and get this put together, and then I'll show you mounting. I already re-drilled some holes because this bracket's considerably larger than the other one. Alright. Okay, so there we go. All mounted up, nice and sturdy. Not going anywhere. And you definitely can see it from where you're driving for the most part, which is nice. Again, I'll be doing the light. That's the light from the old gauge, but I'll be doing that later when I can get the truck closer to the garage. Nice little reflection of the dome light, but yeah, whatever. That's how you do it if you already have a manual gauge and you forgot how to mount it prior to putting it in the truck. Just cut a little slit in the top there. Nobody's the wiser unless they're really looking for it. So that's how you do that. Okay? Now I'll get all my tools gathered up, get back into the garage, because, well, it's not Texas cold. It's not exactly, you know, nice and warm. By the way, if you're doing this with your truck, you're probably going to want to use a short screwdriver instead of a long one, since the transmission hump kind of gets in the way, and probably be even worse if you've got a stick shift truck. But it is at least in. Okay, so let's see if it's gonna be right side up or not. Yeah, upside down. Happens to me a lot. So I'll flip the camera. Okay? You see my beautiful reflection. Anyway, so I hope you found it helpful. What to do when you've already put your gauge in for your temperature and then forgot to correctly mount it first. That's how. Just cut a little hole, a little slit in the gauge's mounting system, and then you'll be able to handle it just fine. Again, I will keep you updated on what I do with that and how I'm going to fix the suspension and getting said light up there. So with that, I'm going to clean up my mess, get myself some more coffee, of course, and call it a night. Yeah. So you all take care, keep warm. Best prayers and luck for the people, especially in Texas and Kansas. I know it's really warm, or really cold out there, I should say. It's kind of warm here, 50 degrees. You all stay safe out there, and drive carefully and that stuff. I know my husband's a truck driver. He had to put up with that stuff last week. And at least they're keeping him safe and out of Texas for right now until the fuel stations can get some fuel back in. But I will be finishing up that so I can play with my sled with it. I don't know if you can see it up there. Y'all take care. Be safe. I'm out.